Hi, I'm Jim, and welcome to the vast universe of Star Citizen, where every ship has a story, every mission is a possible adventure, and every pilot, well, sometimes a pilot tries to do it all alone. Today, we're diving into the world of multi-crew ships and why many players are attempting to fly these behemoths solo. Is it a bold and wise move? Or is it a recipe for disaster? Let's discuss. Now let's talk about mine and everyone's favorite hobby, buying ships that are just too damn big. Star Citizen offers a variety of ships ranging from nimble fighters to massive multi-crew vessels like the Polaris, the Idris, and the mighty Javelin. These ships are designed to be operated by a team, with each member handling a specific role like piloting, gunnery, engineering, maintenance, drone operators, scanning stations, and likely more. But what happens when you, as a lone wolf pilot, decide to take the helm of one of these giants by yourself? Let's break down some pros and cons. And first, let's start with the pros. One of the biggest that I see is freedom and flexibility. Flying solo means you're not relying on others. No waiting around for crew members to log in or coordinate schedules, having to all arrive at the same location, agree on what everyone wants to do that day or play session. It's just you, your ship, and the open space. And no doubt, operating a multi-crew ship alone can be a fantastic way to learn all of the different mechanics involved with flying or operating that specific vehicle. You'll learn the ins and outs of piloting, of gunnery, and system management. It'll likely make you a more versatile player. And for many, the challenge is half of the fun. Managing a large ship on your own can be incredibly immersive, providing a unique sense of accomplishment when you've successfully completed whatever mission it is that you're on or set for yourself. And let's be honest, sometimes it feels good to be greedy. Keeping everything to yourself, this includes loot, mission rewards, and those pure sweet credits. It just feels nice not having to worry about splitting it, keeping up with who did what, worrying, is this person doing too much? Is that guy done too little? It's a lot less headache when you just have to split it with yourself. So you're thinking, yeah, sounds great, Jim, sign me up. Well, let's take a few moments and talk about some of the cons. One of the biggest ones that I see is limited efficiency. Multi-crew ships are built around the core idea of teamwork, and running solo means you're unable to utilize the full potential of your ship, at least not all at once. And this can make combat, repairs, and just general operation less efficient and often more dangerous. And while yes, you can go out and mine in a prospector on your own instead of having to split something among a mole, the mole should ultimately allow you to make the same amount of credits you could solo in a prospector, but at significant less time involvement, meaning that you're putting yourself out in the open universe for attack for a lesser portion of time, reducing your footprint, if you will, of ability to be attacked. So just to elaborate on the next one, your vulnerability. Without a crew, you are more vulnerable. Managing everything alone is not only impossible, but it does leave you open to attack, especially when you're busy handling multiple systems. And in the heat of battle, multitasking will become outright impossible to achieve. But I think one of the larger ones is just an overall missed opportunity of a social aspect. Of the MMOs that I've played in my life, I often found myself honestly pretty bored with the content in game a lot sooner than I would otherwise would have liked to have been. But what always led me to keep coming back for far longer of a time period than the game should have ever enticed me for was the connections I had built, the friendships I had made, the camaraderie that I had produced within that game. So flying with a crew not only makes the game more enjoyable, but it opens it up for those opportunities for teamwork, for that strategy and that camaraderie I spoke of. You will ultimately be happier to have people around you striving for a common goal than you will trying to do the solo's journey of zero to hero. So let's look at a ship that's about to be in game, or at least allegedly, the Polaris. Now, if we look at the technical overview given to us by SIG, although this information is now several years old, I do believe it is at least intended to be correct still, or at least close enough for our use today. We can see that the minimum crew requirement is six people. And personally, I don't expect that to include the ability to crew any of the vehicles inside the ship hangar. The maximum supported crew is 14. When was the last time you were on the ship with 14 people? Or even 6 people for that matter? With the coming additions of engineering, life support, environmental dangers, it's going to become more necessary than ever to have an actual crew on board your ship with you. And that's not even taking into consideration how laborious of a process it's going to be just to load our ships up with cargo here soon. Now, I don't know if having to hand load our ships is going to be coming with the initial implementation of freight elevators, but soon we will have to start loading our ships by hand. Freight elevators aren't going to solely exist inside of our unique to us instant hangars and personal hangars. As we've already seen images of a freight elevator outside of a typical landing POI, such as like an R-Corp mining location. Are you going to want to load 600 of SCU of Laranite into your transport ship alone? And sure, we've been told that there will be options to pay a fee to have the ship loaded for us, but I almost imagine that they're going to make that take longer to happen in the game than it would take us to do it by hand. Otherwise, we're all just going to utilize it. We'll pay the fee and just take that into account when running our trade runs. There's going to have to be more of an incurred cost than just a credit sink. And this is just talking about the requirements of what it's going to take to multi-crew a vehicle by ourselves. We haven't even begun to talk about the crew requirements to fly a fleet. I keep seeing these pictures people post online of their fleets, and I'm gonna be honest, mine has gotten a lot larger than I ever intended for it to be. And I did go through at one point and add up all the minimum and maximum crew requirements for just my own fleet, and it was quickly approaching that of a small town. But I see others posting photos of multiple javelins, multiple Idris, multiple Krakens, and I look at it and I go, there's no feasible way that those ships are going to be properly crewed unless they are in a massive organization. And therefore, those ships really almost become org ships rather than a personal one. These capitals that a lot of us own are going to be looked at as loot pinatas. There's only going to be a handful that you'll be able to take out singularly on its own. Something like a Kraken that brings its fleet with it. So then again, like, is it really alone? That's really grasping at straws there. It's not alone. It definitely has a fleet. It just happens to sit on the ship itself. But you're not going to want to fly out in the Idris or the Javelin by itself. These ships aren't meant to be solo ships. They're meant to be part of an overarching fleet structure. That, or you're going to quickly find out that an Idris is a great ship, but when faced with 15 Eclipses, it turns out it's not that great. So not only are we going to be forced to have our ships crewed by people, we're going to have accompanying fleets of vehicles to protect our large ships. And yes, we've been told we will be able to hire NPC crews and install AI blades to help automate certain tasks. But until we see what those systems actually do, how they actually operate, and how well NPC crews will actually work, I plan to fill my ships with as many real people as I can. As whatever mechanic they come up with for NPC crews, I know I always have the ability to communicate quickly and effectively with a real player more than I ever will an NPC. So, is it worth it to fly a multi-crew ship solo? Ultimately, that answer comes down to your playstyle and what you want out of the game. If you love a challenge and enjoy mastering all aspects of your ship, I mean, by all means, give it a go. But remember, Star Citizen is designed to be a multiplayer experience, and finding a crew can significantly enhance your gameplay and make those epic space adventures even more memorable. Again, thanks for joining me today, and as always, see you in the verse.